Yo, what's up, MMAHOLICS family? Welcome to episode 26 of the MMAHOLICS podcast. I'm Antoine, and this is Nikki and my boy Paul. How you boys doing today?
I'm chilling, man. Glad to be back. I missed a few cards now, so I'm finally back on the channel.
Yeah, good. Ready to watch some English fighters win in 10 seconds like the people they are. The absolute greatest fighters in the world, as we all know.
Nah, it's all good. Well, it's definitely yeah. I mean, hey, had to get the boy from the from the actual UK Paul to pop out for UFC 304. It's in Manchester, so I had to give it justice. You feel me? Especially for any Manchester viewers, any UK viewers, European viewers that might want his opinion. Of course, you guys are definitely gonna get it. And my boy Nikki, of course, now you're fine, man. You always gotta take care of priorities, responsibilities, and you'll forever be part of this channel, whether you want to take a month off, a week off, or a day off. I don't care, bro. Forever gonna love you boys. And that's just how it is, you feel me? And today we got UFC 304, you feel me? Pretty decent card for shit, sure. Probably in my opinion, the best card in UK MMA history. I do like to say that. I just think the way that it's set up, it's gonna be like a pretty electric night. We got 14 fights on this pay-per-view. So it is good that we do have a full night, you feel me, like 302 and 303. We had some pullouts on those cards and stuff like that. Especially 303. That had the most changes I think I've ever seen on a pay-per-view. But yeah, we got 304 and it's in Manchester. And definitely gotta get my man Paul's opinion. How do you feel about the card, man? It's in Manchester, so how do you feel about it, man?
Yeah, it's a good card. It's a solid card. I wouldn't say it's better than 286, if I'm being honest.
Really? Okay, word. Okay, I feel you.
I mean, when you've got a main event of Leon and Usman and then a co-main of Justin Gaethje and Rafael Fiziev, it's
Fiziev, right. Okay.
But yeah, it's definitely a good card. I'm not very pleased about the timing of it. I'm not gonna lie.
Nah, I can see how you feel that way 100%. I think they got the fans pulling up to the arena at 1 o'clock in the morning, UK time. So that is pretty crazy. I'm not gonna lie, even because they're still trying to cater it to American fans. Of course, like how my boy Paul just said, UFC 286 was that was an afternoon card for Americans. It was it started at 2 p.m. For us in America in the States. But yeah, Nikki, how do you feel about it? Any fight you're looking forward to or anything like that?
I'm excited overall because I was talking to Paul about this. I think I said it to you earlier, but it doesn't feel like there's cans for the England fighters.
Right.
Usually with these cards in their hometowns, they just give whatever, and it feels like an easy fight. The Canadian, Neil Magny and
Mike
who? What was his name?
Mike Malott.
Yeah, Mike Malott. And it felt like that was a can fight, even though, what happened at the end. It felt like a can fight, and these fights feel like they're just meant for wins. And there's some crazy lines on here, and I just don't agree with them. Some line, minus 500, I just don't agree with it. So I think that this is a pretty, balanced card, in the fights. 14 good fights. I mean, we even got a banger on the early prelims with Emmanuel Top and Muhammad Makayev. So I think this is a good card.
Yeah, man. I feel the exact same way, especially with what you said about the prelims. Having Manel Kopp and Mohamed Mokayev move down there. Of course, that's definitely due to some people in the MMA Twitter sphere got some conspiracies as to why that might have happened. But either way, I do think regardless of the bout placement, I think every single fight is super good. Really looking forward to this one, especially the Saturday night. The boys been working all week for this one, for shit, sure. And again, want to thank y'all so much for joining us. Really love having you guys in the chat. Feel free to say whatever you want, ask any questions, give your comments on the fights too. And yeah, Nikki, you can have the first fight of the night. It's the ladies. Shauna Bannon versus Alice Ardelin. You can give your first pick and why.
So this one, at first, I was leaning more for Bannon in this fight. I was watching some tape on her. She looked like she had some good jiu-jitsu. I was watching a clip of her. She was on the bottom. She used the cage, got to the top, and started throwing. And I was watching some tape on Alice, and she's a strong fighter. So with this Bannon, I think she has good jiu-jitsu. She has the advantages and the reach and the height in this fight. I don't think that's going to matter as much because she holds no power in her strikes. I don't think she's just going to decision strike her way to a win in this one. I just think Alice has too much power for her. If Shauna tries to take her down, Alice is just going to throw her around. Like she's just a strong fighter overall. I have Alice winning by a decision in this one. It's simple as that. And she's plus money. I think this is a good fight to add to any parlays that we're putting in.
Nah, I feel you. Who you picking, Paulie? Go ahead.
So I actually don't know much about this Alice. I'm going to be honest. I really don't. I've seen Shauna Bannon live when she lost to Bruna Brazil. I was at that fight, so I got a perspective of her. Must admit, she wasn't fantastic. I'm going to lie, she wasn't great. But then I looked a little bit into Alice's record, and I know she's on a 5-fight win streak, but one of them wins is from 2017 in them 5 fights. If you give you, and then one of that last win is like 6 years ago, and look, even this. So she fought in November. Was that August of last year, and then March of last year. So she only did 2 fights in 2023, one in 2022, one in 2021, two in 19, and one in 17. She also lost Zhang Weili. And if we go down a bit more, she actually lost to Diana Belbita early on in her career by armbar. Not the greatest loss to have. I'm going to pick Shauna Bannon because she's a favourite and she hometown probably cooking a decision which she probably doesn't deserve at some point. So someone's got to win a dodgy decision. Probably at the start of the night, to be honest. Like a typical women MMA fight, which the judges can't judge because they are just being just mental sometimes with the judging. Absolute crazy. I expect a few of them tonight, well, on Saturday, and it'll start with Shauna Bannon getting a split decision win. That's my opinion.
Right now, I feel him. Yeah, we'll definitely see if the UK judges be judging on Saturday night. But yeah, we can definitely get this show on the road for me too. I was going to go with Shauna Bannon in this fight. I get it, like she definitely has some decent jiu-jitsu, and like some okay striking. She has 2 wins via knockout. Even though she doesn't have any submission wins, I think that's more so about like some of the little things she showed on the ground and some of the film. If you get to watch her, like on like her socials and stuff. We know she can go a good 3 rounds. You feel me? Especially having like most of her wins by decision. And yeah, she's never been knocked out or submitted. So I think she's a tough female, most definitely. And yeah, like I just think like I know she lost to Bruna Brazil, but I feel like she could take a lot out of that. She had a lot of momentum coming into that fight. She was on a really good win streak coming off the amateur scene and then like becoming a pro. She lost to Dakota Davicha back in 2020, but I feel like that's not really a bad loss to have. We see what she's doing at the PFL. Of course, people want Dakota Davicha to get a step up and stuff like that, but I do think that that's not really a bad loss to have, and it shows that she has faced good competition. That's only going to make her a better fighter as well. And I was going to go with Shauna Bannon in this fight for sure. And moving on to the next one, we got some heavyweights early in the card. We got Mick Parkin versus Lucas Brzeski. So Mick Parkin, he's undefeated. He's 6'4" with a 79-inch reach. I think he's a good fighter. He trains at the Dungeon BJJ, but we know he trains with Tom Aspinall as well, who's also on this card. So he probably had a good camp training for a guy who's in a title fight with a guy who's in a title fight. And iron sharpens iron. He's really young. He's 28 for a heavyweight. He's younger than Aspinall. And yeah, he has 5 wins via knockout, 1 win via sub, and 3 wins via decision. So I think his physique can kind of fool people, but I think he's in pretty good shape for the division. I think he has good, decent footwork as well. How he'll come in and out, like trying to strike and stuff. And yeah, I think he's a fairly well-rounded fighter. We did see him get the submission on Contender Series after getting a bunch of knockouts on the regional scene before that. He's beaten decent competition. Jamal Pokes, he beat him, who was 10-3. Kyle Machado, say what you will. He was 8-1. And then you beat Mo Usman. I get it, especially now more than ever. People aren't really high on Mo Usman like that. But I think it's about what he's shown in the fights, and when he's definitely showed his level. He's a level above these lower tier heavyweights for sure. And yeah, like Lucas Bresky, his opponent, we know he definitely was on a skid a little while ago. You feel me, losing to Carl Williams and Martin Badai. And Waldo Acosta, he got knocked out by him. We know his last win, he beat Walter Walker, the brother of Johnny Walker. So I mean, he was undefeated, so I do think that was a good win. You feel me? And in terms of his career, he does have 5 wins via KO, 2 via sub. So he can finish you. But for me in this fight, I was going to go with McParkin. I like the momentum of McParkin. I like what he's shown in his fights. I think he's a fairly well-rounded fighter, like I said. And I do think like he can come out here and like either win a decision, get a knockout, get a submission. Really depends on like how the fight goes. He's fighting Manchester, so I think he's gonna come out be rather aggressive. If I had to say like a method of victory, I mean. He's been winning by decision lately, so I think he'll probably win a decision now. Just keep that same pace, conserve the gas tank. Really smart fighter. Really just keep a good pace, outpoint Lucas Bresky, and yeah, who you picking, Paulie?
So the thing with Lucas Bresky, there was actually quite a bit of hype coming into when he went on to Dana White Contender Series. He won that fight, and then got popped.
Right.
He popped for some steroid thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then he obviously went on the losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
And then ironically, his last win is when there's a different drug association involved, completely different. So
right.
It's interesting. I'm not saying like he's back on anything. I do probably doubt it, to be honest, but it's just something to keep note of, really. He's not great though, Lucas Bresky. I don't think Mick Parkin is future champion per se. I don't think Mick Parkin. Yeah, I'd be surprised he makes the top 10, to be honest. But he's better than this level. I was close to not picking Mick Parkin, to be honest. I was going to pick the underdog, but I just think Mick Parkin's got a bit more IQ, a bit more better striking, a bit more basic level fighting than Lucas Bresky. So I expect Mick Parkin to win the decision. I don't expect it to be a very fun fight, to be honest. But I'm going to pick Mick Parkin by decision.
Yeah, for me, for Bresky, my opinion, he has pretty bad cardio, and you got to realize he's 1-3 in the UFC. Hasn't knocked out anyone in the UFC. So I don't think later on in the fight he could get a surprise knockout. I don't think early on he's going to get a surprise knockout. So for me, it's like, what's his method of victory? With Mick Parkin, he's very balanced. Like, he's not excellent at anything, but like he's good at everything, and that's enough to win this fight, especially in heavyweight. Being a balanced heavyweight is one of the best things you could be. You could take people down, you could stuff down, takedowns. You could survive for 3 rounds without, death gassing. So
right.
For me, this one's an easy Mick Parkin by decision for sure. I don't see him getting the knockout either necessarily. I'm just going to go with the decision for this fight.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Well, definitely got a clean sweep. Yeah, you can go ahead and take the next one, Paulie. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. So I've seen Sam Patterson live when he fought Ash Moose and got knocked out brutally. But it did come back in some good fashion, upper weight class, because the Ash Moose fight was at 155, as was his Dana White Contender Series fights and his previous fights. It was quite clear he should not be fighting at lightweight. Way too much weight to cut for him. He's a big welterweight as it is, on a lightweight, Sam Patterson. But there was some hype coming into him when he's on Dana White Contender Series down here in the UK. He was quite a big, well-known person. He did well in Brave, as you can see here. Didn't lose in Brave. So he's quite good, and there was a lot of hype to him. And then he come in and got absolutely demolished by that strike by Ash Moose. It was a great shot. Fully credit to him. But what makes fighters good is the ones that are good, they come back with a vengeance in the year later, had some time off, proper time off, come back upper weight class in enemy territory. I know Johan Lioness, tough name.
No, you're good. You're good.
I know Johan Lioness is not the best fighter in the world per se, but it's not an easy fight. He's probably harder than what Keith Crosby's going to be for Sam Patterson, to be honest. But yeah, that's what I wanted to see. That's what I wanted to see from Sam Patterson, because if he didn't look any good versus Johan, I would have probably written him off at that point. But onto Keith Crosby. He is one of Connor's teammates. That's pretty much why he's in the UFC, because he's not good enough to be in there. I think the last time we saw him was against Kevin Ducey, where he just got outclassed. He got lost by a rear naked choke. The only reason why I got into UFC was because of the slam knockout that he knocked out Alex Cowboy with. That's literally the only reason why. As we can see, he got choked out against Ducey. He got choked out in the Bellator as well. And another doctor in Bellator. He's not even winning good fights. So he's got Alex Cowboy Lavera, who's done. And in the fight before, he won against a guy who's 6 wins and 12 losses. He actually lost by a legal knee to Mike Jackson. I think it's pretty clear where I'm going with this one. I think it's pretty pinpoint fight, pretty easy one. This is definitely one. There isn't many, but this is definitely one of the layup fights for the British. I know it's a British versus British fight, but the English and the Irish, 2 different things. I'm picking Sam Patterson to win by submission in the first round within 2 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Within 2 minutes. Got you. Beautiful breakdown. Go ahead, Nikki.
For me in this fight, I think Sam Patterson is the better fighter. I think he could chase the fight. If he chased those takedowns a little more, I think this can finish quick. Don't know if that will happen necessarily. I have Patterson winning by a sub, but Crosby has really good boxing. I mean, there is a knockout chance. He puts together good combos. He has good power. That's what he is. He's a good striker. Patterson is also a good striker. He doesn't come with a lot of power. He just has a good 1-2, good long striker. I think this one is a Patterson win by sub too. Even though I say he doesn't chase the takedown as much as he should, he gets the submissions how he gets them. So I think it's safest to take him by sub in this one.
Right, of course. Yeah, hey, great breakdowns, boys. I'm about to agree with y'all in a second. I just want to give a shout out to my boy Dark Star. Thank you so much for joining us, bro. Always love having the boys in the chat. Thanks so much for joining us, Dark Star. Great guy, super nice guy, always showing the love, you feel me? Shout out to my boy Vulcan as well, bro. Thank you for sliding through for the breakdown this afternoon. Really appreciate you, bro, always. And you make good pictures yourself, man. I'll be seeing you in the Discord for sure. And I want to give it last not least, though, my boy Ghost. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Always been supporting to the literal very beginning, and he always shows love to this day. So always love talking to you, bro. And yeah, for me, like I said earlier, I was gonna go with Sam Patterson by a first round submission as well. I think he can. I think he can get the takedowns. I think, but with the Yanal Moose fight, I was watching his interviews before that because he was a new fighter, so I wanted to get to know him more. And he was really confident going into the Ashmoose fight. And we know how we found out later how good of a striker that Ashmoose is. So I really think that Patterson might have just overlooked him, and he needed that loss. You feel me? And I think it changed him. Decision making wise, made him a little bit more cerebral. And I think in this matchup he can repeat the same result as this last one, and I think he can get the submission, especially getting the fight to the ground. He's a big welterweight. I think he's 6'3" with a 78-inch reach, so he's in the Neil Magny zone. So he's definitely pretty big for 170. And I definitely think he can get the win. Minus 350. It's up there, whatever, for anyone trying to get some money on Crosby. We have seen Patterson knocked down with a counter left by last moves, but for me personally, I think that Patterson's probably gonna get the sub. Also want to give my boy shout out to the boy TT. Thanks so much for joining us, man. Thanks so much for joining us, bro, on this afternoon. And yeah, man, moving on to the next one. You can have this next one, Nikki. Go ahead, bro.
All right, so this one got moved to the early prelims. We got Muhammad Mokaev versus Manel Kape. This is easily a fight night main event. This is easily a feature bout. This is one of the best fights on the cards. Too bad it has to be down here. Who cares why it's down here? Let's just talk about it. In this fight, I'm taking Mokaev by decision. Now, I know how good Kape is of a fighter. I mean, that fight versus Felipe Dos Santos was one of my favorite fights ever. It was just a fucking brawl. Short notice, Felipe. But just with the UFC, we just haven't seen Kopp take any high-level fights. It's just everything gets thrown off, and he's fought good fighters before. Like, don't get me wrong, in other promotions, but just in the UFC, I'm just strictly talking the UFC right now, and it's just he hasn't. And Mokaev is on this streak of just dominating, and I mean, I think he deserved a title fight. He could have been the youngest champ ever. He could have took the throne from John, and Dana didn't want him to have that. For whatever reason it sucks. For this fight, I think it's going to be pretty even in the start. But once Mokaev starts to throw in those takedowns, which he's going to chase, it's going to start to look a little lopsided. Because Kopp, he looks for the brawl. He likes to strike. He wants to be in the pocket fighting. And there's no reason that Mokaev would ever let that happen. I mean, that's the easiest way to just get knocked out. So I don't think he's going to get the submission. I don't. I think this one will go to a decision, maybe unanimous. I think he'd go 2-1 on the rounds. I'm taking Mokaev by decision. I don't even know what the odds are on it, but he's -125. Yeah, I mean, I think this is a pick'em fight at the end of the day too. I don't think one's over the other, but just my opinion, I got Mokaev in this one.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead, Paulie.
I actually disagree. You won't see me picking his English fighters very often. That's the biased English man I am. But I trust Manel Kape here, his weight cut. He said earlier on today that he's 133 pounds, which is exactly pretty much what he should be, to be honest, at this point. 8 pounds to cut in a night and a day should be very doable. I just think Manel Kape's better. I've seen Mohamed Mokaev 3 times now live. 3 times. He was actually the first English fighter I ever saw live when he fought Cody Durden.
Right? Yeah.
My first ever live event going to it. And I will never forget that memory of that first fight, being there live in the arena. It was Mo. I've just not been impressed since that victory against Cody. Charles Johnson, as much as Charles Johnson is good, it was a very lackluster performance. Jaffer Filio, he nearly got submitted. He was quite lucky not to. Good heart, but And then Alex Perez, he was really bad. I just thought he was really poor. I really do. And then Malcolm Gordon and Tim Elliott, he should be beating them, really, let's be honest. Do you really think now Kape will lose to any of the fighters that Mohamed Mokaev has beaten? No, I don't think so. I think Manel Kape's now coming into his prime after a poor start in UFC when he lost to Pantoja, which in a close fight, and then he lost to Nicolau, which I didn't think he actually lost to Nicolau.
Oh, yeah, he won that shit. Hell yeah.
But I am picking the underdog here, and I'm picking Manel Kape to win by round 2 knockout.
Man, this is one of those. It's like Nikki said at the end. Before I even get started, I want to give a shout out to the boy Better MMA. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Coming in right as we get to this banger. We're not even on the pay-per-view yet, so we're glad you boys are coming in here. Really appreciate y'all for sure, man. But yeah, man. So for me, with this fight, anything can happen in the Ultimate Fighting Championship, you feel me? And you've seen fighters we've seen fighters' records change dynamically. I never thought I would see Tony Ferguson go from being a 26-3 to 26-9 or whatever he is now, or even getting double-digit losses, stuff like that. So we know that even O's can be taken. In this matchup in particular, we know that Mohamed Mokaev, for me, his stand-up just really isn't that polished as of right now. You feel me? Don't get me wrong, he's really young, especially to be at the stage in his career. You can say his ground game is definitely advanced for his age, but you expect that him, having Dagestani roots, of course, and but for me, it's I think that with Muhammad, he was always pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Even with the Jafel Filho fight, we saw him in a really bad spot with his leg, and he did not tap. So we know he definitely has a lot of heart. It will take a lot to finish him, either on the feet or on the ground. Most definitely, it's going to be really hard to take that L. And for Manel Kape, I've always been high on him. I think the only thing that's literally stopped him was the weight cuts. I think he's always had the skill set to be one of those dudes. He's still really young, and I'm at 30 right now. So the fact that he's still like he's not like 32 or 33 like that yet. Like I feel like we don't see the prime Cop until 32 years old, somewhere around there in the flyweight division. And like for me, I still think he's still getting better. Like he's like I know he was 0-2 when he first came in. He should be like 5-1 inside the UFC. I do think that he did beat Nicolau. When they first fought, I just think he wasn't aggressive enough. I just think he might have honestly had some jitters. That was the only reason he lost to Pantoja. That showed back then they were like, Pantoja was number 5 when he fought Manel Kape in his debut. So that showed back then they were trying to get him to the title as fast as they could. And I feel like this definitely could be considered a title eliminator, especially I know that Urseg and Kakar France fight at 305, literally the next pay-per-view after this. But I think with Urseg just having fought for the title, and I think Kakar France on paper has lost 2 in a row, I do think the winner of this fight could literally fight for the belt right after this. Especially with Cop, both honestly, Cop be on a 5-fight win streak, coming off a win over an undefeated fighter, and Muhammad Mokaev, like he'd be 12-0 and finally beat that dangerous opponent that everyone wants him to beat. You feel me? So I definitely think that both can come out of here with a title shot. It's a close fight, man. Like it's a close fight, man. Because I feel like a lot of people think like Cop's just gonna get just really wrestled and controlled like that. You feel me? He is the smaller man. Mokaev's 5'7", while he's 5'5". Mokaev has a 70-inch reach, while Kape has a 68-inch reach. I do think that Manel Kape is the faster fighter. Obviously, the better striker. You can definitely say that Mokaev's the better grappler, but I don't think he's leagues ahead of Kape on the ground like that, to the point where he's going to just hold him down in the side control. And Kape's not like, I think when Kape fought David Dvorak, he was attacking submissions and arm bars off his back right when they hit the ground. And that shows like that instinct of fighter. And he trains at Extreme Couture under Eric Nixick, who like is one of my coaches of the year. He's definitely one of a great coach. So he's coming from a really great gym, and they know exactly what they're up against in this fight. It's a close fight, man. Like I would never pick against a fighter out of hate or anything like that. Like I go off their skills in the cage solely when I make picks. And man, like for this one, it's a close fight, man. You could make whatever prediction. Anything can happen in the fight. I was gonna go Manel Kape in this fight. I was gonna go Manel Kape via decision. I think he'll be able to stuff the takedowns and I'll strike him on the feet. It's gonna be a really close fight when it comes down to it. We got to see how Manel Kape handles the takedowns. If he's able to, I think he has way too much experience to just be held down on his back like that. And like, I get experience, it has nothing to do with skill set. But I think, like I just said, he's really good off his back with trying to scramble. Hopefully he doesn't play that game for too long. I think he'll more so try to scramble back to his feet. And I think he's really strong. He's really strong in that compact frame that he is. And I think he'll be able to stuff some of the takedowns and keep it striking. But if the only thing that throws a wrench in the plans is if Mokaev comes out and drops Kape in like the first or something like that, you feel me? That would be pretty crazy. Then we'd be in for a hell of a fight, because I would have no idea what's about to happen after that. But yeah, and I do see what Volkan's saying right here, saying how Kape was taken down by Nicolau. I think about maybe 2 times in that fight. I do think that, I think Kape has definitely improved. Absolutely. Since then, definitely having known what he's up against in this fight, you feel me? And that was a pretty long time ago when he got held down. That fight was in 2020, so that was 2021. So that was 3 years ago when that did happen. And it was a split decision. So I think even with the takedowns that he got, I still think you could say he won that fight. It was a split decision, And yeah, I think he was 27 during that time. He's 30 now. And that's 3 years to get better, almost 4 complete years. And I think he's gotten better since then. And like I said, he knows what he's up against in this fight. And I don't think he's going to underestimate it. Absolutely, both fighters have for sure. Both fighters have for sure gotten better. I see what you mean, 100%. It's a close fight, man. The odds indicate so, but we definitely got to move on. But to end it, yeah, I was gonna go with Cop via decision, and like that's it. You boys got any other last minute words, or that's it?
No.
That's good for me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Like with Tagir, yeah, and Better's right too. Yeah, no, this fight's gonna be crazy, man, definitely. But moving on. Yeah, you can have this one, Paulie, if you want. Oban Elliott and Preston Parsons.
Sure, why not? Okay, so Oban Elliott is very much Cage Warriors. It was like a star actually in Cage Warriors. He's one of the proper ones where he came through it. Obviously had Chael Sonnen helping him out with the gangster sort of gimmick per se. He has only had one fight in the UFC, and it was a short notice fight against Val Woodban. He didn't look fantastic, I'm not going to lie. He did okay in round one, and then he got finished in round one, but he also should have finished Val Woodban in round one, and then obviously gassed out because of how much he's trying to nearly got rid of him. Not really a great performance, but you can't really judge him off that. But I do know a bit more about Preston Parsons. He's been in the UFC for a while now. If you can go on his record, please. Because I have seen him. He's definitely fought quite a few high names in the 170 divisions. I know he's so he beat Matthew Semmelberg, which is a good win. That's not an easy fight to have. Lost a split to Trevor Giles, and beat Evan Elder. Evan Elder's another good win. Ideally, I'd like to see Elder at 155 and at 170, but it is what it is. Evan Elder is good. And then lost to D-Rod on short notice. I'm going to keep it short and sweet. I've got Preston Parsons. I went by decision.
Yeah, I can go ahead and give my pick second. I was going to go with Preston, too. I really like his wrestling and his gas tank. I thought he lost. The Trevor Giles fight was a split. I think that could have went his way. And I think, when he lost to Daniel Rodriguez back in 2021, I think, D-Rod in 2021 was a whole different fighter, in my opinion, than what he is from what you see today. And I think Preston can get it done with the wrestling. Really strong, smart fighter. I think he can hold down Oban Elliott. And just steal a decision. And yeah, how you feeling, Nikki?
I don't have too much of an analysis on this one. I do know last fight I faded Preston Parsons for Matthew Stelmelsberger, so it's gonna. All I know is this fight is gonna be a split decision. That's my genuine analysis. I'm gonna take Preston Parsons in this one to win by that split decision. I just don't got enough about Oban Elliott. I saw the Val Woodburn fight. I don't even remember who I picked in that fight. I think I took Val in that fight too. So I think I faded both of them in their last fights. But I'm going to take Preston Parsons in this one.
Mm-hmm. No, you're good, man. Always go who you think's really going to win the fight, man. You feel me? And, you never know until, the end of the fight. You feel me? Anything can happen in it. Want to give a shout out to my boy Anakin Skywalker for joining, man. One of my really good friends, most definitely. He's from Chicago. He's a Bulls fan. So gotta give a shout out to the boy Anakin, most definitely.
Yeah, he has got the best fighter in the world as his profile picture. Though. Ignacio Bahamondes, what a fighter!
Absolutely, most definitely, and he has great taste in fighters, as you can see, most definitely. And moving on up the card, I could take this next one with Modestas Bukalkis and Marcin Prachnio. So yeah, man, I'm really happy for Modestas, even just to come back after the Kyle Roundtree incident was just you feel me, getting his knee kicked out. And as soon as it happened, I thought he was at least going to be out for a year. You feel me? And that was just really sad when it did happen. And he was out for a year. That happened in September of 2021. He didn't come back until November of 2022. So he was out for a really long time. You feel me? And yeah, even after that, they cut him after that. You feel me? So he had to go back to Cage Warriors where he won his title. He became the Cage Warriors heavyweight champion. So it really became a movie for him as soon as he got cut from the UFC. You feel me? But that shows you need to never give up on your dreams. You feel me? We see what happened. He's a decent fighter. I think so. He has 9 wins via KO, 2 wins via sub, 4 via decision. So definitely his bread and butter is the striking, as we can see. I think he has decent leg kicks. Decent leg kicks. He has decent power. When he knocked out Chuck Campbell at Cage Warriors 148, I thought he looked pretty good in that fight. We saw him pick apart Tyson Pedro. Of course, Tyson Pedro, he did retire shortly after that fight. so you might not be able to take too much away from that either. And Zach Palga, he didn't really have the best UFC run, unfortunately, Zach Palga. But I still think it's about what Modestas showed in the fights, and I think he's still, a pretty good, a pretty decent striker for sure. With some decent takedown defense, I think he can keep the fight standing enough to use his striking. He's fighting Marcin Prachnio, though, who's also a pretty good striker in this fight. He has 11 wins via KO and only 1 via submission. So this fight's definitely going to play out on the feet, for sure, most definitely. Both these guys, Prachnio's 4-5 in the UFC, while Modestas is 3-4 in the UFC. So, do with that with what you will. You feel me? But I really think, because I was going to say it's about the momentum, but, Prachnio's coming off a win off Devin Clark, which of course it's hard to win any fight in the UFC. While Modestas lost to Vitor Petrino, got knocked out by Vitor Petrino at that. So that was definitely, not a good look. Even though Petrino just lost to Anthony Smith, getting caught in the guillotine, stuff like that. That was still a pretty bad loss, to get knocked out the way he did. So we know that he is coming back to the UFC kind of chinny. He can be finished. And Prachnio has 11 wins via KO, man. So this is a pretty close fight, as you can see on paper. But for me, it's close, man. But I think Modestas lost to a good fighter his last time out. I'm high on Vitor Petrino. I do think he is, a pretty good fighter. Even coming off the loss to Anthony Smith, I think that's going to change Vitor Petrino. And we know that Modestas has a 4-inch reach advantage in this fight. And as soon as he came back to the UFC, he picked up some wins. And I think he's going to try to come out and still get back on the horse and really continue on with his momentum after losing to a good fighter. So this is a close fight. I'm not really confident in this one like that. I'm not gonna lie. I just know that Modestas is 6 years younger, has a 4-inch reach advantage. And before beating Devin Clark, Marcin Prachnio also lost to Vitor Petrino. So it is what it is at that point. But yeah, it's a close fight. But I was gonna go with Bukowskis. Who are you picking, Nikki?
I don't think either fighter has a consistent power to give a knockout to this guy or this guy. Right. Petrino puts out a little more volume. I've noticed. You check the stats; it's a little more. That's enough to win you a decision. I think that Bukowskis has a little better cardio. Third round would definitely favor him in this fight, but I think going into the third round it'll be 2-0 just due to output. That's the only thing I could really see happening. So I'm going to take in this one Petrino by decision.
I feel you. How you feeling, Paulie?
Yeah, my issue with Bukowskis is when it's these close sort of fights, he doesn't pull away. Mm-hmm. If anything, he gets brought into the brawl more and gets brought into the slugfest. No, he gets brought into making it close. One thing I do like about Marcin Prachnio was the exact reason I actually picked him to beat Petrino, which he didn't, obviously, but I remember picking him as a big underdog in that night. But because I can see that there's glimpses of quality in Prachnio, and he can use it sometimes. I expect Prachnio to win it. I really do. I don't think he should be the underdog. I think Prachnio wins the decision. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Nah, yeah, boys. Close fight, in my opinion, like we all said. But yeah, moving on up the card. Gonna finish these prelims so we can get to this banger pay-per-view. Yeah, you could have this next one, Nikki. Colin Lawgren. I hear some people calling him online, versus Jake Hadley. Hadley taking this fight on short notice.
All right, so last Colin fight was when I first heard about him. I watched him. He's a very strong fighter. This fight right here. He's a very strong fighter. That's what I know about him. As for Jake Hadley, he's a very quick fighter. I couldn't pick between these two. So Hadley is moving up in weight, so this is a bantamweight fight for him. He's coming from flyweight, but he has good size, for bantamweight. They're evenly, it's a 1 inch, 2-inch reach. It's not much of a difference. So it's not like it's going to be a rough move up for him. He's not going to be a small flyweight coming up to bantamweight. I would say he's a pretty big flyweight for that then. I just think it's going to be a scrappy fight. This one's kind of hard. My gut is telling me to pick Colin in this one just because, I mean, there's a lot of hype behind him. I know him a little more. I'm just going to take him. If I had to tell you, I mean, I really didn't put a decision. I didn't even put a winner. I just think Colin will probably win this one.
Mm-hmm.
I have to say maybe by knockout. I really don't know. I'd put his money line on it, though, if I was betting on it.
Right. Okay. Who you picking, Paulie? In a second.
I agree. I think Jake Hadley actually should be fine at 135 anyway, and not 125. I'm being completely honest. My biggest concern is that Lockrane has been in camp the whole time for a whole. I think he's actually one of the first fights to be announced on the card, as it was.
Mm-hmm.
So he's had like about 8 weeks. Well, Hadley has a week. I'm going to pick Lockrane by decision, but would I be surprised if Hadley wins? No, not really.
Mm-hmm. Nah, yeah, same here. It's gonna be a clean sweep for me. It's the grappling with Logren, really dominant grappling in my opinion. And it's just Jake Hadley on short notice. You need time to prepare for that. Cardio wise, gas tank wise, being able to scramble out of the positions. Of course, he's always training, being a martial artist, but it's different when you're in a training camp. And I think that Logren's gonna probably get it done via decision. I think.
It definitely feels like a Cage Warriors main event.
Yeah, right. You could say that for sure. Nah, for sure. I'm not even laughing. Like, for real, like, you're dead ass. Yeah, for real. I'm gonna go with Logren though, definitely. I think he'll have a pretty good showing in this fight. Hadley might be able to steal one in front of the home crowd, you feel me? But the boy Ghost is going with Hadley. And so for those of you that out there picking Jake, got someone in the chat, also agreeing with you, most definitely. So, but yeah, man, moving up with the card, we have the traditional, the patent Molly McCann performance, the showcase, whatever you want to call it. Love watching her fight. Yeah, man. You can go first, Polly. She's all yours, but go ahead.
Okay, let's start with Molly McCann. And so she bounced back against Diana Belbita, going down to 115. But Belbita's not very good, let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Being completely realistic. Then got armbarred, has been like a minus 300 favor against Stolarenko. Tough matchup for her because Stolarenko is a very good jiu-jitsu player, not the type of fighter that Molly McCann should be fighting if they want to build her up. I have my concerns for this fight. I really do. I have big concerns for Molly McCann in this fight. Bruna Brazil, I don't think she's like fantastic, but she's good. What's the height and reach between these two? Because I'm certain Bruna Brazil is taller, surely.
Go.
Yeah, a couple inches. Yeah. Just because I've seen the interview from Molly this week about saying how it's been a really tough camp, not in terms of injuries, but in terms of mental, because it's been going on in Molly and Paddy's life with losses and etc. I'm going to Bruna Brazil by decision. I'm going for a big upset.
Okay, who you going, Nikki?
I agree. I think Bruna is a very well-rounded fighter. I think she's good. I just think there's too much momentum in this fight. This is when the crowd is going to start roaring. When Meatball Molly comes out, then the crowd's going to get loud. And when you walk into that, that's where the momentum changes. So you're starting the fight at a disadvantage. I know there's a bunch of English fighters on the card, but like this is because I mean her and Patty, people know them too more than a lot of other people. That's when everyone's going to start getting real loud. I think you're going into this fight with momentum. I think that's just going to put her 1 foot behind from the start of the fight for Bruna. I'm taking Molly by a knockout in this fight.
Yeah, man. Split down the middle on this one. Yeah, I'll go ahead and reveal mine as well. Make it 2-1. I was also going to go with Molly in this fight. It's just hard to pick against her in the UK. I think if it goes to a decision, they'll give it to her. I think if it's a close fight, and she ends up on top, whatever, they'll give it to her. She's really aggressive in the UK. She's not like, she's a whole different fighter damn near. She'll come out, she has really good combinations. really aggressive with her combinations. How like she'll chop the legs. Obviously she has great elbows. She has decent boxing combinations. I mean, you see her hit the pads and stuff. But I think just like anywhere it goes, I think just that adrenaline will keep her roaring through like every single grapple exchange, like any scramble, anything like that. And I think that Molly can get the KO here. And I was gonna probably go with McCann via be a second round knockout. I think like they'll go back and forth. It'll be a fun fight in the first round, and then like eventually in the second, I think like she can like get like a ground and pound victory after like somehow getting the fight to the ground, or maybe like because she could attack a submission. Excuse me, but I think she is gonna just try to like really just be aggressive with their like get her up against the cage, clinch with their elbows, uppercuts. And yeah, I think she could go for a second round finish or a decision win. If I had to bet, I might say a decision win. But she could go for a second round knockout though. But
yeah, I think she's gonna hit her one good time, and the crowd will roar, and she's just gonna know to follow up. Even if she didn't have the as good of a hit as it was, she's gonna follow up and get on top, ground and pounder. That's how I could see it. I mean. Momentum's big in this sport, bro. You hear that crowd roar, it's adrenaline. You're getting adrenaline and the other person isn't. That's, I mean, it's like a cheat code, So
right. Don't get it wrong. I expect Molly to knock her out, but I'm not picking Molly because especially when she's Bruno Brazil's a plus 240 underdog. There's absolutely
that's one of those bigger lines that I was saying. I don't think this is the outclass. There are some pretty wild lines. I mean, if this is taking place anywhere else, it's not going to be a minus 300. I don't think.
Right.
But we could keep moving on. We got now we're on the upper half of the card. We got some really good fights coming up here.
Absolutely. No, it's about to we're definitely about to feel the tone shift. Yeah, Paul, you can have the prospect as we close out the prelims.
So this is actually my pick for fight of the night. I think it's a great fight. I really do. I am looking forward to this one. I like both fighters a lot, even if Pineda is very much on the fruit and vegetables, i.e. the steroids. He has popped for them before in the PFL, and his back, I've never seen someone's back be so big for someone who's so small. It is just ridiculous. Is the line off? Very much so. Should Nathaniel be a minus 500 in any fight? No. With the chin concerns, definitely not. In a fight with Pineda is actually very good and people should start realising it. Definitely should not be minus 500 favourite. Last time we saw Nathaniel Wood, he got absolutely robbed in Abu Dhabi against Naimov. An absolute joke of a fight because Naimov should have been deducted points in that fight, etc., etc. But it wasn't a decent win streak before that. Andre Feely, I was at that fight. He has one moment where he was really good in round one. In round two, he got dropped himself. Round three was very close. Charles Jourdain was one of his better wins in Paris when he went up in the weight class. And then Charles Rosa. He is very good. He definitely should be at 145 and not at 135 like he was. That's definitely the correct move. On Pineda, the last time we saw him, I think it was for Alex Caceres and lost that fight in the division. Just got outclassed by Bruce Leroy. Doesn't surprise me. And sub Tucker Lutz, but people forget Tucker Lutz was also coming off a really bad back injury on that one. And on the eye poke against Feely. So he's not been very active recently. He really hasn't. And, he lost to Cub Swanson, which is not a great loss to have, to be honest, especially at the latter stage of Cub Swanson's career. I am going to pick Nathaniel Wood by decision, but with very much with caution. I definitely would not be betting him. If anything, I'd be tempted to bet on Daniel Pineda.
Really? Okay. All right, I feel you on that, bro.
Nathaniel Wood by decision.
I got you. Go ahead, Nikki.
I agree. There's no reason to even think about betting on Nathaniel Wood. I mean, minus 500 doesn't do anything for you. And as close as this fight should be, the only thing you should be betting on is Daniel in this fight. Daniel has really good jiu-jitsu. And Wood is very vulnerable. Those are two very important things to realize. So if Wood's on the ground, he's vulnerable. If Wood's on the feet, he's vulnerable. So at minus 500, it's almost crazy. Wood is Nathaniel Wood is very quick. So that's one thing. He's a good striker, all that. For me, I have Nathaniel Wood winning. Do not bet on it though. You could hear us go a sweep for Nathaniel Wood. Do not bet on it. That's just that line is crazy. It doesn't make sense. I think this fight is going to be very close though. I don't know how it could end. They both have finish ability, so like it could end in a submission, it could end in a knockout. It can just be a brawl and go to a decision. I don't know. I'm taking Nathaniel Wood in this fight.
Right. Yeah, man, it's gonna be a clean sweep as we enter the pay-per-view. I was also gonna go with the prospect. I said on a stream, on my homie's stream the other day when I was in his comment section, like, I was saying like, yo, like it's really unfortunate that Nathaniel is still fighting these prospects, no pun intended. As he's like 30 years old now. You feel me? And I know, like, you can't say Pineda's a prospect, but this like these lower tier guys, he's really talented in my opinion. Every time he does fight these lower tier guys, he ends up being a massive favorite like this. So I think that definitely shows his level and that he should be up there. It's just, it took a key loss here and there, like when he lost to Muhammad Naimov, after getting a 3-fight win streak, and lost to Casey Kenny, 3 years ago, and just stuff like that. And Casey Kenny, I don't know, I haven't heard that name in a long ass time. Casey Kenny, that's crazy.
He went to be drinking too much.
Oh, really? That's what happened? Okay, because I hadn't heard that. Like, that's been forever. But yeah,
he's been taken off like the active fighters in the UFC. He's now like inactive, on the website.
Damn, that's crazy. But yeah, bro. We'll see what happens. I do think Wood can get like a second round knockout in this fight. I do think it'll be something like he can't get a finish. I just think, like, it might take a minute in the first round. Pineda's pretty, like, he has heart, when he's in the fight, stuff like that. But we have seen him knocked out, like when he fought Cub Swanson. So I am gonna go with Nathaniel Wood in this fight, most definitely. And yeah, man, going into Zip pay-per-view, want to thank y'all again for joining us on this podcast as we get to the final 5 fights of the evening. We really love having all y'all here. Thank y'all so much. And thank y'all so much for supporting. And thank you again for joining us, Paul. Really love having you for this breakdown, man. Most definitely. And yeah, man, kicking off the night. This is when the movie starts. I always call pay-per-views movies, and like I always say, like, the Ultimate Fighting Championship is like a movie franchise. And like when they have pay-per-views, it's like the next installment in the franchise and stuff. All the posters are different and just stuff like that, But yeah, so going into this fight, this is a really, really close fight. I'm gonna take this first one if you boys don't mind. Like, it's a great fight. I'm really high on the almighty Arnold Allen. Really phenomenal fighter. With what he can do in the cage, really good boxing, really good wrestling. To be shredded like he is, he has a great gas tank, especially in that 5'8" frame. He's really big. His dad is a strong man, so he grew up lifting weights with his father and his brothers. And yeah, like, he's a really good fighter. Like I said, really good kicks, good kickboxer in general, but has a really good jab, like a piston. Has one of the best jabs in the featherweight division. He was jabbing up Calvin Kattar, a boxer, before Calvin Kattar suffered his injury, unfortunately. And yeah, like, I'm really high on Arnold Allen. He's a really well-rounded fighter. Coming out this one on a 2-fight losing streak, but he lost to 2 good guys, in Max Holloway and Mobstar Evlo Webb. So I definitely think that Arnold Allen, both those dudes. One is once a former champion, future Hall of Famer, and the other might be a future champion when if he gets to fight Ilia Topuria. So I think that Arnold Allen's stock hasn't dropped much at all, and he's still one of those top featherweights. And I think at 30, his birthday's in January, so at 30, he just turned, in those few months ago. But I do think that Arnold could still be a future champion, damn near. He's really young still. And he's coming out fighting Gikichi Katse. Gikichi Katse, he's a great kickboxer, one of the best in the featherweight division technically. Like how he said his strength, his combinations, how he can assess distance and range. Has really good footwork as well. When setting up his strikes. Not really chinny like that. He's never been knocked out. He does some 9 wins via KO. We have seen he was picked apart by Calvin Kattar, completely decimated in the match. That was getting hit with elbows left and right. Like, it was, I had never seen Calvin Kattar that was probably Calvin Kattar's best performance inside the UFC. Outside of knocking out Shane Burgos or knocking out Jeremy Stevens the way Calvin Kattar did. I just think it's how he picked Giga Chikadze apart for 5 rounds. Just looking great, especially coming off the loss to Max Holloway, how Calvin Kattar was. And yeah, like, looking back on the wins, some of them like aren't really the best, like Jamie Simmons, Irwin Rivera, Jamal Emmers, Brandon Davis. He beat Alex Caceres this last time out, but that was Giga coming off a pretty, significant layoff. And I felt like, not like Caceres is like, a scrub or whatever, but I definitely felt like that fight was lucky for Chikadze to get back on the horse more than like, Caceres is a good fighter, like I said, but I think that was, for Chikadze to get back on the horse low key. And yeah, he beat Edson Barboza. I do think that's probably his best win. Finishing Edson Barboza the way he did. That's when he really had a coming out party. And then the next fight he ran into Calvin Kattar. So, like I said, his wins haven't really aged the best. Like Irwin Rivera, Jamal Emmers was a good win, you could say, but that was a split. Some people thought he didn't win that. And even when he beat Brandon Davis, that was a split decision. And Brandon Davis was like 10-7 at the time. So I do think that Arnold Allen is the more high-level fighter, more well-rounded fighter, and I think he will not show any fear when standing in the pocket with this kickboxer. I think he's going to be extremely aggressive, trying to close the distance, really crowd the kicker, and I think he can come out here and get a victory. I was going to go with Arnold Allen. Because like I said, Giga's never been knocked out, and after a year of MMA and kickboxing, so I do think he's a really headstrong fighter, pretty durable. So I was gonna go with Arnold Allen via decision. Really mix it up on him, strike, and then shoot a takedown here and there. Get it, get some control time. And Arnold needs to win this fight. He can't lose 3 in a row on paper. So he definitely has to win this, win this fight, get back on the horse and back towards that upper trajectory. So I was going to go with Allen in this fight via decision. How you picking, Nikki?
So Giga's coming off a year off due to injury. I'm pretty sure it's a groin injury. And he's 35.
Yeah, he's supposed to fight Josh Emmett. Right.
And now he's coming off that at 35 years old. So that's one thing. Arnold Allen's 30 years old, so he's in his prime years. And the interesting thing, he's on a 2-fight losing streak, but he fought Max Holloway, who Max is just like getting better with time. And then Movsar, which a fight that was very controversial because he had the fight finished practically, and they called illegal knees. I mean, if that's on the street, that fight's over. He's going to knee your head in until you're unconscious. There was nothing for Movsar to do in that position. Right. He had full control of Movsar, and he got kind of saved by the rules, which another topic for another day.
And they changed those rules now.
They're changing that takes place later this year. Yep. So that's interesting. You're right, though. Arnold is a high-level, very well-rounded fighter. So it's hard to pick against him. I do like Giga, though. I think Giga has a very good chance. I mean, he's a really good Muay Thai fighter. He has amazing kicks. He has really good striking. This is most likely going to be a brawl, but I think Arnold has more of the mixed martial arts in him. I think he's going to mix it up very well. He could take him down, control him for a little bit if he has to. I think Arnold wins this one by decision. He's just really strong, and he moves very quick, and that's going to be very tough. Giga, though, I do like Giga. So I can't see. Is there a reach advantage? He does have 4 inches, and I assume his legs are even longer too. So I think he's going to be able to keep it at range. But once Arnold closes the distance and finds his tempo where he needs to be in the cage, it's going to be a rough night. I'm taking Arnold Allen in this one for sure.
How you picking, Paulie?
So I'm expecting Arnold Allen to get back on the horse here with a win. I'm not impressed by Giga. I never have been. I've always said that he's not a fraud, but he's in that category where like the ones who give all the talk. You know, when he was on that hospital bed after he got smashed to pieces by Calvin Kattar, he said, and his words was, I would beat Calvin Cater 9 times out of 10.
10, yeah.
Plus, he had a triangle in his eyebrow. So he's delusional. And Alex Caceres' fight wasn't even like a whitewash win. He was quite close. I'm actually picking Arnold Allen by submission here. I'm going by submission in round 2. Obviously, Giga got subbed by Austin. Was it Austin Springer in Dynamite Contender Series? I've never been impressed by Giga's grappling. I expect Arnold to have a okay first round. He might even drop the first round, maybe test on the feet, and then he'll do what he did to Gilbert Melendez, really, and just go from there. And I think the rear naked choke in round 2 for Arnold.
Yeah, fire pay-per-view opener. I feel my boy Ghost in the chat. You said he might not have that much hype for the fight. I think the matchmakers know what they're doing in this matchup. I think they're gonna come out and like damn near try to kill each other. I do think it will be a very good fight for sure. And yeah, moving on up the card. Again, this card is pretty ridiculous. Yeah, but Christian Leroy Duncan versus Gregory Rodriguez. You can have this one, Nikki. Go ahead.
So Gregory Rodriguez, he's a very hard hitter. He wasn't the original opponent, I'm pretty sure, right? Is this a step-in fight?
It's a better fight than what the actual first fight was meant to be.
Okay, yeah. So this is a step-in fight. One thing to note, CLD did not train for him, but a heavy hitter, and he has a scary top game. So if it is just as a technical fight, Gregory has the chance to just land one hit, put him on the ground, and finish it, right? That's something. But Duncan has a big reach advantage here. It's at 4 inches. This is going to be a stand-up fight. I can't see them wanting to do anything else. Both of their fight styles exceed in standing up. This one is a banger for sure. For sure. I think this is a very underrated fight here. I think Gregory has what it takes to finish this fight, but I am taking Christian to win it by a decision. I just think it will be a technical fight, and betting on that he just gets just gets a nice hook through or something that puts Christian on the ground. I'm not too confident in, whereas I think Christian could go 3 rounds of just straight kickboxing and pushing him against the cage, getting out of there. I think Christian has way better odds of winning this one in his favor.
Nah, yeah, I can see why you'd pick him. Go ahead, Paul. You can go second.
I've been going backwards and forwards on this fight all week. It's a great fight. It's another one that could be fight tonight. I don't see it going the distance. I'm going to say that. That's one thing I can pretty much guarantee. I think it'll go the full 15. I just think at the moment, as much as I like Leroy Duncan, I think it's a bit too much of a step up. I've got Gregory Rodriguez by ground and pound knockout in round 2.
Oh, really? Ground and pound? Okay, damn. Word do you got? Okay, word. The boy Gus is picking CLD. And you pick RoboCop. I feel you. Oh man. Okay. I got you. Yeah, for me, I was gonna go with Christian Leroy Duncan, man. Like, I see why you would pick Gregory Rodriguez. Seeing the power threat that he has, but it's like, for me, like, we've seen Rodriguez knocked out a few times, like a couple times now. I know about the Bruno Ferreira fight. I get it now. That doesn't look too bad, seeing what he did to Dustin Stoltzfus. But, and I get it, even with the Armin Petrosyan loss, like, that was pretty close. But he was knocked out by Jordan Williams on the Contender Series in the first round, So I do, and he also lost at Jungle Fight 73 via KO when he got knocked out by Bruno Lopez. That was like 2014, So I think it's always been in him that he can be finished. I think he's fighting a really high level striker this time out, and I think Christian can get the fight done. Also, on a side note, Bruno Lopez, the dude that did knock out Gregory Rodriguez, he fights on the Contender Series this year. He fights on August 13th. He's 12-1 now, so he must be pretty good. We'll see how that goes if they fight again. But yeah, I was gonna go with Christian Leroy Duncan. He's 10-1 right now. It's a pick'em fight, so it is really close. I see why Paul would pick Gregory Rodriguez, going against his countryman. But I think CLD is really good technically. I think being at home, he's really going to want to win in front of his friends and family, and I think he's going to really stay out of the way of the power shots. And I think he's just going to really stay composed in this fight. And yeah, also I think he said what's up USA first and foremost. He said what's that beep? I think that's my fire alarm. It messed up the other day, and like yeah, like I don't know why it's been.
I don't even have a battery in mine. I just don't. I don't even have a battery available. I just got to get one. Mine has not a battery in it. I just took the battery out because I was tired of the beep.
Oh, bro, like I get it. Also, like I'm about to move out of here too. Like so, like it was just like yeah, fuck the alarm. So, like I feel you boys though. That's hilarious. I didn't know. Damn, my bad. I would have muted myself. But yeah, yeah, like that's it for this fight though. Like I was gonna go with Christian Leroy Duncan. Moving on though, only got 3 more fights left. Want to appreciate you boys again for doing this. Thank you again, Paulie. Know you're going to sleep after this, man. So thank you again for joining us on this evening. And yeah, man, the featured bout of the evening, featured bout means it takes us into the championship fights. Yeah, man. So you can go first, Nikki. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
So King Green, no law. He used to be Bobby Green, now he's King Green. He's a tone setter, so he comes out the gate, hands down, and he's talking. Will that get Paddy Pimblett mad? I don't think so. Paddy doesn't seem like someone who gets aggravated too quick. He's I think his biggest worry right now is the cardio past round like 1, because this is gonna be a brawl. They're both gonna be trying to hit each other in the face, obviously. Paddy got very gassed against Tony. He won that fight, but he looked very gassed after a little bit. I'm excited for this fight. I don't know how it's gonna go. I want Paddy to win. You know, Bobby's on the back end of his career for sure. He looked amazing versus
Jim Miller.
Jim Miller. I couldn't even think of the name. He looked amazing against Jim Miller. And it's crazy that he could fight that good with his hands down. It's interesting. So he's fighting with his hands down, and Paddy's fighting with his chin up. So they're both like trying to lose the fight against each other. Paddy gets hit in the face a lot. He got hit a lot against Gordon. I don't remember too much of Tony rocking him, but I remember his hair was messed up, so he definitely got rocked a little bit in that fight. And Bobby for sure is going to land on Paddy. I think Paddy will win by points in round 1. Just while Bobby's doing all the talking, Paddy's going to just land a few jabs, a few kicks. Can I see him getting some takedowns on Bobby Green? Maybe. I saw Bobby had about like a 75% takedown defense. Paddy, if he gets him down, is like the fight could end right there. I mean, Paddy hasn't really gotten anyone down and like submitted them in a little while, but you know he has one of the better like get the back and finish the fight abilities. If this fight does go to 3 rounds and it's tied, I'd have to say Bobby's going to win this fight off a decision, just because, I mean, a round 3 Paddy Pimblett does not sound like something I'm confident in. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't really these 3 fights I didn't do any notes on, just because like.
Yeah,
you know what it is with these 3 guys, with these 3 fights, these 6 fighters. I'm gonna go with Paddy Pimblett. I think he could finish him. Now I'm not trying to compare him to who's the dude? Wow, I'm drawing blanks. Not Dan Hooker. The Tarantula. What's his name? Jalen Turner. I'm drawing blanks right now. Turner, I'm not comparing him to Jalen Turner by any means. I think there's a big gap between Paddy Pimblett and Jalen Turner. But Jalen finished Bobby. I think Paddy has a finishability over Bobby. Like, that's just saying Bobby can be finished. I think Paddy can do it. So why not? Let's say Paddy to finish the fight. Because if it goes to round 3, I think Bobby will take this fight just off of cardio alone.
How you picking, Paulie?
If Paddy's cardio is as bad as it was versus Tony Ferguson, Bobby Green will finish in round 2 or 3. I say the exact reason why I picked against Molly is the exact reason why I'm going to pick against Paddy as well. I don't think they should be fighting. I listened to the interview and what was going through, and I don't think they should be fighting right now. They're not in the right mindset to be fighting. But there's Paddy's coaches are nearly close to pulling him out 5 weeks ago. Oh, you're now telling me now in 5 weeks that he's in the best health of his life? No chance. No. I actually think I also pick Bobby Green anyway because he's a better fighter, much skilled. Paddy's competition not even close to Bobby Green's. Even in the last couple of years, Bobby's got light years better competition than Paddy, much better. I'm picking Bobby Green by knockout in round 3.
Boy, okay. I feel you. Yeah, man. Like it's kind of unpredictable to know how this fight is really gonna go. We know that because it's like, man, I just don't know, like, man, if Paddy's gonna hurt Bobby on the feet, man. Like because Bobby got hurt by Ferguson, you feel me, and that's pretty bad luck. You could say, like, we could say that Tony was still just really dangerous at 39, but he still went on to lose that fight. And even in that, as I just said, like in that same fight where Ferguson hurt Bobby finished Tony. He choked him out. You feel me? So even with that showed that he is able to take a shot and come back in a fight. And he's a good wrestler. That's why I do think Bobby's has underrated wrestling, decent jiu-jitsu as well. And if they're gonna stand up, I think I do think that Bobby will have the faster boxing combinations. He has really good defense, and I think that if he can just keep it on the feet, because Bobby has a great sprawl. If he can just keep it on the feet, I do think he can, like, not pick him apart, but definitely box his face up. Just having like the faster hands. We saw Bobby knock out Grant Dawson the way that he did, so I do think that even at this later age in his career, he's still pretty dangerous on the feet for sure. I know the boy better MMA saying club and sub.
I agree. I think that could happen. I mean, I also see a head kick, man. Like I said, Bobby keeps them hands low and he's focused. That a jab head kick could happen. And I mean, Paddy throws them. Paddy likes his kicks. He's unpredictable for sure. You never know how Paddy's going to fight. I think that could be one of his greatest features for this one. Now that he's going to start fighting better opponents now. Because I know you said Bobby. I know Paul said Bobby's fought better competition. But them both fighting Tony recently just shows me, like, they're in the same atmosphere at the end of the day. Because there's no other reason Bobby would have been fighting Tony. He's up and down, up and down. He's honestly a gatekeeper. Like, it's just fair to say that at this point.
And you're exactly right. That's what this fight is supposed to be for Pimblett. Can he finally beat? Even if I feel like, he'll gain a little bit of respect if he wants this fight, but it won't be as much as he should have gained based on the disrespect he got at the beginning. With people like really thinking he just has no skill. How he's 5-0 inside the UFC. Of course, in the Jared Gordon live fight, definitely was should have gone the other way. But a lot of people feel like Jared Gordon was beating Paddy, but beating Bobby Green before the headbutt stuff happened. So,
well, to be fair, the competition ramps up after if he wins that fight. I mean, look at the names that are above. That's as simple as that. You got Benoit, Dan Hooker, like obviously Chandler's out, but you got dudes like this, Moicano. Moicano's a good fight for Paddy, but KRU should be a good fight. But like Fiziev, I'm taking Fiziev. I'm taking Jalen Turner. I'm probably taking Dan Hooker. Benoit was just almost in a title fight. So, I mean, how good is he? You know what I mean? And then all these dudes, these are the top dudes in the lightweight. Lightweight gets very tough very soon if he beats Bobby. So,
and that's the thing. Like, it's really like this is the litmus test. It's also the last fight on his contract as well. So, we got to see how he tries to renegotiate. I can imagine that Paddy's pretty expensive. He only fights on pay-per-views. He has a really big fan base. So, definitely, one of the more upper pay. He probably gets paid, more than some of the dudes in the top 10 of lightweight. To be quite honest with you, like he signed $1 million deal with Barstool. He got a Rolex watch from Drake. So he's definitely getting that celebrity rub for sure. And he can really just keep going on from here. This card is to cater to, this fight's to cater to him, put him back in a good light after getting, crapped on by some of the American fans during his time here. And now, because, that walk is going to be, insane, bro. That's one of my favorite. Like, yeah, I'm really excited for that, bro. Because he has to perform too. And it's gonna be like his fan base is actually gonna be there, so they're actually gonna sing the song and stuff like that. So I'm really excited for that. But yeah, I mean, it's a close fight. I do see why Better would pick Patty. It's a close fight, man. I'm not gonna lie. For me personally, man, like, I guess I'll just go with like who I think is like, it's like the better fighter, man. I think Bobby Green's the better fighter. I do. I think he has faster hands. I think he's really good on the ground. Underestimated on the ground. I think he has a great sprawl to keep the fight on the ground, bro. I know there's people picking Patty Pimblett, bro. A lot more people than I thought would be picking Patty Pimblett. Maybe they're just seeing something that like that people are seeing that we don't. You feel me? And it's just I feel better. He feels like this still isn't gonna be the fight where he does take the loss. The moment like he gets that and I see why the UFC did it like this, because the moment if he wins this fight and he does get that top 5, because he said at the media day he wants to fight Renato Moicano if he wins or loses in Paris a couple months from now. But right now, it's like, man, I do think that Bobby is like the better fighter right now. I get he's older, but he did just pick apart Jim Miller, and even Patty said Jim Miller's a grappler, but we did see Miller KOing these dudes. He KO'd Jesse Butler and like Nicholas Mata, and like Nicholas Mata finished Tom Nolan, and Tom Nolan was undefeated. You feel me? So I do think that it was good for Bobby to still show his level even at 37 and pick apart Jim Miller like that. And again, man, the Pimblett fight, like, it's a hard fight, man. I'm not just gonna crap on Patty. I do think he's a skilled fighter. With the wins he's gotten inside the octagon, I just think that Bobby's experience, like, he's fought way better dudes. His chin still holds up. He was the same fight. He got knocked out by Drew Dober. He was destroying Drew Dober, and Dober's a way better striker than Patty Pimblett. You feel me? So I do think that Bobby can win the fight. Bobby, I think King Green can win the fight. You feel me? And I was gonna go with King Green. Via decision, Brand. I think it might be like a hard loss for Patty, maybe. Just like I think, because I know people can say this is not about the judges. I think the third round is going, like, it'll be undeniable. Like, not saying his face will be super messed up, but I think he will have some bruises and like a bloody nose maybe. And I do think it will show that, like, that, yeah. But the thing that throws this whole thing off, man, is if Patty drops, but like if he drops, but just in a random exchange, like if Bobby's blonde hair is flying forward and you see Bobby drop Bobby in the crowd go, oh, and, like, it's gonna be crazy if oh my god, bro. So because we know it's like better said, it could be a club and stuff. He could drop him and really chase a sub, especially if he hits the ground. And Bobby's days, he could get his neck and like it be over. So but I'm gonna go with Bobby. I do think it's a close fight though. And yeah, man. Moving on to the co-main event. You can go first, Paulie. Most definitely. For sure, man. You definitely got your boy. Go ahead, bro.
Oh, sorry, mate. I was doing. 2 seconds.
Oh no, you're fine, man.
Yeah, sorry, right.
There you go, bro.
So I'm gonna keep it short and sweet because I'm really tired. So I was at the first fight when Aspinall's leg snapped in 15 seconds. I paid literally over $1,000 to be at that fight, and then the main event was over in 15 seconds. Always the fun that you have. I'm actually scared for Tom because Blades is definitely one of the tougher matchups in the division. However, the issue with Curtis Blades, he decides to do the complete wrong thing of what he should be doing. His IQ and fighting wise is not very good. Making it short and sweet, I got Tom Aspinall by round 2 knockout. I'd be surprised if it goes past 2.
Yeah, how you feeling, Nikki?
This fight's interesting. I've been waiting for this to happen because it bothers me that we had all this talk that Tom would be the one to just real quick hear me out. That Tom would be the one to put out John Jones, and now we're going into this fight, and people aren't even certain about will Tom win this fight. Like, I mean, there's people really thinking that Curtis will win this fight. Besides what I think, I'll get to that in a second. It just bugs me about that because it was all that Tom would do this to John. John's old, all that. Now he's fighting Curtis Blades, and it's like it doesn't even feel like this is a can, which it should be. I mean, if he's going to be John Jones that easily, the rest of the division should be a bunch of cans. Okay, back to the fight though. I've never seen Tom go to a second round, right? Like this fight should finish in the first. Tom, like, he's a great fighter. He's very quick, has good jiu-jitsu, all this stuff. But he just fights with his, like, chin all the way out. And it's like, who's going to be the first to hit him? And if someone hits him good, he'll get put out. This is heavyweight. Any heavyweight will put out any heavyweight. I mean, you could take someone at the bottom of heavyweight, and if they hit the best heavyweight in the world good enough, he'll put them out. You know what I mean? Curtis Blades in that last fight against Jailton was cruising to a win, and he got caught with an uppercut, and the fight ended. But it wasn't like Curtis was getting outclassed on the feet. So this is a different fight. It's hard to base it off of that. Curtis has a lot of power, and he's in a high guard. If Tom's going to chop the legs, maybe, that could open it up a little bit. This fight is really hard to judge, and I was going to go off the top of my head, but now that I'm here, it's tough.
It's hard.
I want to say I don't want to be a hater and say Curtis Blades, right? So I mean, the fair thing to do is say Tom will win by a first round knockout, like he has, and then prove me otherwise. Like I'm not gonna hate just because my John Jones preference. I'm not gonna hate and pick Curtis Blades by a knockout. I'll give Tom Aspinall the benefit of the doubt, but then he's got to go out there on Saturday night and he's got to win this damn fight by a first round knockout, or he just has to look really amazing in this fight. Because people are calling him the undisputed, champion of the world. I get it. There's an injury. John Jones has been out for almost 2 years. No one's expected this. Like, it's unfortunate what's happening, but there was a lot of Tom Aspinall is the best heavyweight in the world.
Literally.
We're going to see Saturday. Because if he doesn't even win this fight, like, it's just like, is everyone going to go on Twitter say sorry? Hell no. Hell no. They'll be saying Curtis Blades called him lucky if anything. I'm gonna take Tom in this fight. Let's see what you got to say,
man. Yeah, man. I mean, it's a lot to this fight that you can peel back in layers, in my opinion. I'm not gonna go too long because Paul gotta go to sleep. Like for me, man, it's a lot to this fight, man. Like, do I think this is the real belt? Absolutely not. I'm not gonna move John Jones or Stipe Miocic to the side for Tom Aspinall and Curtis Blades. I'm not gonna move two of the greatest fighters ever and to the side just for one fight that's gonna be one night, and then it might not even play a massive role in the UFC history later down the line. You feel me? This might just be a regular any old title fight versus you have the greatest heavyweight of all time and the greatest light heavyweight of all time in a fight. The main reason why people don't like that the Stipe meet the John Jones fight is because they're not giving Stipe a chance. They give Stipe no chance. They think he's gonna go in there, get dog walk, get destroyed. You feel me? And that's
the easiest division to be old. You know what I mean? Like
literally
division you could get away with being older. So it's weird that people are counting him out. He's bow-legged and all. All right, yeah.
Exactly, and I remind people it was like this during Stipe's title reign. Every single title defense he had, he was literally the betting underdog every time, bro. He's always, I don't know what it is about this Croatian, but they just think he sucks. They always thought Stipe wasn't too good, even though he's a great wrestler. He has great boxing, he has great footwork. All 4 losses are via knockout, but if you're the greatest heavyweight of all time, that's the price you have to pay. It's the heavyweight division. None of these, you don't have to have skill at all, and you can be a damn near a Hall of Famer. All these people try to crap on Derek Lewis, and Derek Lewis has the most knockouts in UFC history. So just off that God-given power, in his fist, you feel me? I feel bad for any man in the future that breaks into his house when he retires. It doesn't know who he is, you feel me? And like for me, it's like with this fight in particular, I do think Tom Aspinall is a great fighter. He can do it all. He has great boxing, really fast hands. He has great footwork as well. He glides in the cage when he's stepping around it. Has just tremendous footwork that you really do not see at the heavyweight division. He's the faster puncher, you could definitely say. I mean, the power is, you can say that, man. I mean, you can say he might hit harder than Curtis, but Curtis has knockouts too. And Tom's last win was his best win. Of course, he submitted Volkov, but Curtis beat Volkov too. I know Curtis had to it took 5 rounds to beat Volkov, but that's still a hard person to beat like that. And I get it, I say hard, but Tom made it look super easy. You feel me?
Tom made another amateur.
And for sure, and I get that, and it's like in this fight, okay, like Volkov's got him better. That loss looks way, that win looks good now. He beat Pavlovich. When he fought Pavlovich, he knocked, and we always wanted to see how would he take the shot. And I think we were literally meant to see Tom take 2 big, 2 shots flush to the chin like that by Sergey Pavlovich, and he did not fold. It's like he didn't even get punched. He had a bloody nose, but that was it. But he didn't get wobbled or anything like that. It wasn't Tom's on wobbly legs. He has to shoot for a takedown. He just started throwing punches back, and he knocked him out. So I do think that it's either Pavlovich is super chinny and we don't really know it, or Tom really is that great of a fighter. So I feel like we're going to find that out in this fight. On Curtis Blade's side, he trains in Denver, so I do think if this fight does make it out of round 1, I trust him 1,000%. I do not think Tom Aspinall will have a better gas tank than Curtis Blades. I think just because, you have to have that experience to have, gotten that before, man. Curtis has gone 5 rounds, a bunch. And Tom, of course, it's not his fault. He's picking it out the first round. You feel me? He's just, he's finishing these dudes in the first round. And for me, it's with Tom, it's how's this fight gonna look if Curtis gets that first takedown? I know Tom has good jiu-jitsu, but we gotta see it really smoke one of these dudes. Mm-hmm. I mean, a high-level grappler. Volkov had no grappling. This is the best grappler that Tom has faced in his entire career, you could say. You feel me? And but then, we saw Jelton Almeida able to hold him. You feel me? I do think that Tom Aspinall has more dangerous jiu-jitsu than Jelton Almeida. When he blasted Andre Arlovsky and, choked him out the way he did. When he took down, when he got the Kimura versus, Volkov and stuff. So, because if you really break it down, there was never a lot to really go off in his fights. He's been killing dudes, you feel me? So we haven't seen him in that war and have to, go 5 rounds, and that might not be his fault. He might just be that good. But I'm not gonna keep repeating myself, And for Blades, again, like I said, he has great cardio. People can say what they want about the chin. He fought Francis Ngannou twice. I don't know if Tom Aspinall, maybe Ngannou would knock out Aspinall if they were to get into a striking battle. You feel me? And Curtis was beating Derek Lewis before that uppercut landed, and he tried to get the fight to the ground, and it was a game plan, and he got caught, man, and no one is surviving that flush to the face from Derek Lewis. You feel me? So, and then after that, it was the Pavlovich loss. The last thing I'll say before I get to the pick is that, with Curtis Blades, I'm really big on spirituality when it comes to fighters. And when, if y'all been watching for a long time, of course, all y'all have, people, most of the time, they'll see that Curtis Blades gets a haircut before every fight. It's like his trademark. He'll get, the blades in his head or whatever. You feel me? When Curtis had showed up for the Pavlovich fight, he didn't even get a haircut at all. He looked like he crawled straight out of bed, didn't train, and just came to get a paycheck. I think there was something going on with Curtis in that fight, on some personal life stuff. I don't follow him on Instagram or nothing like that. He didn't really post his girl and his wife to begin with or whatever, but I don't know if anything was going on back then. But I know he'll be fully motivated for this fight, knowing it's the championship fight. And getting to my pick, man, it's It's like, man, like if it's the tiers of MMA, like the areas, like it's striking, grappling, wrestling, cardio, chin, like I mean, man, it's like Aspinall. He hasn't shown like that he can't do any of that. You feel I mean? If you want to be MMA math, the dude that knocked out Curtis, Aspinall smoked him, and he did it on short notice, man. So it's like, I mean. Like for real, all signs point to a Tom Aspinall victory. Anything can happen in a fight. You feel me? Minus 500 is pretty insane. You feel me? I will say this: if he does go out there and finish him the way he does, I think we will get Jones versus Aspinall. You feel me? And I think that would be one of the biggest fights in UFC history, 100%. And that's no exaggeration because that's the greatest of all time involved in the sport, and that's like it's his biggest threat that he has ever faced in his entire career. So yeah, man, I'm gonna go with Tom Aspinall. I'm gonna probably go with a second round knockout. I think like he'll be faster in the combinations in the first round. If it hits the like, I think he'll be able to stuff some of the takedowns if they do scramble. Like if Curtis does try to grapple and stuff. Kind of like how Pavlovich stuffed the takedown. If Curtis can time it right, he can get the fight to the ground 100% and try to tire Tom out. It's just this is the fight where, in my opinion, we're really gonna see like if he's really like that special guy or not, man. And like we're really gonna see what's gonna happen. And oh, where like yo USA, like yeah, I mean. I think there's stuff out there, yeah, like aliens, stuff like that, and ghosts. I mean, yeah, I think there's spirits and stuff, yeah. You're not getting too crazy with it, but I think like yeah, I'll be praying and stuff. So that's all I'm saying. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a crazy fight. I got Tom Aspinall by second round knockout. And then this is one of the main fights where like I won't be mad at all if I'm wrong. I won't be screaming like damn, bro. Like if Aspinall's getting wrestled, then like stuff like that because like it'd be whatever, man. Like the underdog would have won. You feel me? Like and that's that. You feel me? So we're gonna see what happens, bro. That I do think that will be a crazy fight. And also before we move on, because it's the last fight that we're going to. I think it's cool because me, Nikki, and Paul actually would go back and forth about interim titles and stuff like that. You feel me? So it is cool that like the interim title is actually being respected in this fight, and it's being defended like a real title that it is. You feel me? And yeah, like yeah, and like and I agree with USA. Me personally, like I mean, now that we even have a chance to talk about this, like man, I think the only reason. Like all this Tom Aspinall, this and that, like with John Jones in particular, because he was a great fighter and like on his own. But the whole like even when Michael Bisping came out and said that Tom Aspinall John Jones doesn't hold a candle to Tom Aspinall. He said that on the Believe You Me podcast. Like to say that like about like John Jones, for him, John Jones had beat Glover when Glover was 34. And that dude went on to become the champion at 42. Like John Jones, like there isn't like a single person that has a better resume. I think the only reason that whole conversation like keeps getting had is because there's a lot of new fans that came in from 247 when he left to UFC 285 when he returned. That was almost 40 pay-per-views. And I think a lot of people think everything he did when he was 23 to 30, all that kind of stuff. It's like a myth. It's like an urban legend to them. And like they had to see him finish all these dudes. Any legend that they love, he finished them, like or beat them. Whether it was Rashad, Rampage, Lyoto Machida, anything like Mauricio Shogun, who are like any of these dudes, he beat them already. So and yeah, you feel me? But again, I want to give a shout out to Paul for sticking it through. We're about to get to this last fight, the main event. Probably shouldn't take too long. I can even go ahead and give my first pick of the fight. It's whatever.
Because I want to give a pick and I'm going to bed.
No, you're good, bro. You're good, bro. Again, thank you for joining us, Paulie. It was a pleasure having you, bro.
I'll give a pick first, and then
I'm sure, bro. Most definitely.
So I really don't like this fight. I think it's going to be a bit of a boring one, especially one which I don't know if we're going to be able to stay up at 6 o'clock in the morning to watch this fight. Would it be worth it? I really don't know. I am picking Leon though to win by decision. I am also going to say that I expect Leon to lose the belt to Shavkat after this fight. So I'm going to enjoy it whilst we can. But I expect Leon to be much improved from the Colby fight, but I expect him to win a clean decision, 50-45. He's just much better than Bilal. But that is me done. I am off to bed. Thank you very much for having me.
Of course, man. Thank you for joining us. Most definitely. God bless you, bro. And this won't be the last time. Enjoy your sleep and enjoy your day at work tomorrow, bro. 100%. I'll see you. Bye. Yeah, man. Like, and again, you can go first, Nikki, before we end it off.
Yeah, so for this fight, a lot of people are going off the first fight. I mean, they're two completely different fighters. For one, Bilal was not supposed to be fighting that fight. He filled in for someone else in that fight. Two, they're both way better than they were back then. Bilal's put together a big win streak. Leon's put together, he's on a huge undefeated streak, Leon Edwards. But people, give Leon the edge in this when they're very similar, both of them. They call Bilal boring, but not Leon. Leon was getting dominated by Kamaru Usman before a lucky head kick. Like, I like Leon. I think he gets a little bit more than he deserves sometimes. It's just like when he was fighting Kamaru, he was holding the fence every time he got taken down. That's very unfair because, I mean, you're ruining the fight. Kamaru could have finished it, Kamaru's a great finisher. He did land the head kick. He did win the fight. He won both the second and the third fight against Kamaru Usman, no doubt. He fought Colby Covington. Colby Covington looked like a shell of himself. That was, like, embarrassing. There's not much to take away from the Colby Covington fight. I wouldn't say I know people after that fight were like, he's very, like, he looks even more well-rounded now. No, he looks like the same Leon Edwards as he did in the second Kamaru Usman fight. Colby just looked really bad in that fight. And that's not to take away from Leon, it's just the facts. Colby Covington was scared to apply pressure. If that was real Colby Covington, he would have been shooting at his legs, even if it meant he got kicked in the damn face, which he didn't. On Bilal's side, I mean, he's just a really well-rounded fighter. He has, like, really good, striking for, like, without knockout power, obviously. He puts together really good combos. He loves his jabs. He stands behind it the whole time. He'll get you down. On the ground, he should be the better fighter. He should be able to hold down Leon Edwards. I mean, we know that Bilal's on juice now, right? He's, like, on steroids, but, like, his coaches are saying, like,
damn,
it's obvious. I mean, he's on steroids, but, like, his coaches are saying no one works harder than him. So he could be applying, steroids to him, but he's working hard. He wants this. The regular thing to do would be take Leon in this fight. I feel like surprisingly Bilal can be the one to do this. I mean, Leon's cardio in this fight might take away, or, like, genuinely in the fourth or fifth round, he might be gassed. Bilal's gonna push him. Bilal's not a can. I mean, who's done anything to prove that Bilal's a can? Sean Brady in the first fight, like, that was so long. Okay. That's what, 9 fights ago now? Something like that. I don't know. Sure. I'm gonna take Bilal by a decision to win the welterweight championship of the world.
Nah, you're good, man. Hey, bro, like, pick who your heart goes with. You feel me? Shout out to my boy James Lynch. I'm the journalist James Lynch. Also, go subscribe to him. He actually picked Bilal too in this fight. Me personally, I'm gonna go on the other way. I was gonna go with Leon Edwards, my boy Paulie as well. And like, yeah, like, for me, I just think with Leon, man, I think the main reason he doesn't really get the respect that he should, having the striking that he does, having the grappling that he does, is that it's his personality. You can either be like Leon Edwards, be yourself, and people ridicule you, and because you like don't really talk too much, you just really like to show up, get your money, fight, and go home. And you could be like an Ian Gary when people think you're being fake, copying, like an idol, or like your country and stuff like that. And think like and hate the ground you walk on. People like Ian Gary can't say anything without he can start a charity, and still catch hate. You feel me, Ian Gary? So I think Leon is just himself, man. I think that's just who he is as a person. He doesn't want to fake it for no camera, man. And like, I respect that. You feel me? Fake what for some money? Be like Colby and like say some messed up stuff that he's gonna regret when he's done fighting. When his kids see that and stuff like that, he's gonna regret that. You know, like having shown like that's what he did to make the money, like sell the fight. You feel me? And especially go out there and look like that the way he did, Colby Covington. But with Leon, man, I think he doesn't get enough respect for being the first ever person to take down Kamaru Usman. Even in the first round, before he gassed down, he took him down. He had him in the full mount, like he almost like went for a submission. We had never seen Usman ever in a situation like that. And Leon did it rather quickly. I think that showed his technique as a fighter. He was that championship level. The way Usman backed up off the fence trying to get a takedown like that, and Leon just tripped him with his leg, and he just got the full mount just like that. That really showed he was prepared for anywhere that fight went. Even in the first fight with Usman back in 2015, as soon as Leon got taken down, he threw up a triangle. So back then, like dudes were like, okay, like all right, like he definitely has something for him. He's showing that he's training everything. You feel me? So I do think that Edwards was always a future champion. I do think even on his way up when he was beating Gunnar Nelson, he was beating RDA. I think just with his polished striking, his polished technique, it was going to be hard to beat him. He's also really big. He's 6'2", almost 6'3". He doesn't have a crazy long reach, but he knows how to use his reach with his striking and his boxing. He has underrated leg kicks, great leg kicks that I think they're going to pay dividends in this fight to slow down Bilal's footwork. Because Bilal is really, really good at footwork, unorthodox, moving in and out and kind of side to side before he shoots in for a takedown. And I just don't think Bilal is better anywhere in this fight. I don't think he is the better wrestler. I don't know if Bilal takes down Usman. I don't want to say he takes down Usman,
he was training with Umar and
like I get it for sure what it could be, even all them boys and like with them, for sure, and that's definitely gonna rub off on him. I just think with Leon having trained the last 3 training camps he did were for wrestlers, 2 were for Usman, and 3 was for the third one was for Colby. So that takedown offense is piping hot, fresh out the oven. And I think that he's gonna be prepared for the strike, for the grappling, for the fighting, anywhere the fight goes. I think he will be ready, and this is the fight where this needed to happen, because when Leon, when this fight first got made, I don't know the odds now, but I know that Leon was a minus 400 or something like that when the odds first.
25.
Yeah,
that's fair, and I think I agree with that. I think that's pretty fair.
Yeah, I was gonna say that means there's money coming in on Bilal for those of you that are picking him, but to me, that showed that this is the fight where Leon's gonna walk away. People are gonna walk away nah, bro, this dude's good. Nah, this dude's nice, bro. And then better MMA. And then he's gonna go into the Shavkat fight. Not looking past this dude. Not trying to be like that. Not anything like that. But if he does beat him the way I think he can, I think he's going to walk out and he'll end this fight. People are man, Shavkat won't get it done that easy. That's when that conversation's gonna start after this fight. And it's like how Better said. I agree. This needed to happen. This rematch needed to happen. That eye poke happened for a reason. Bilal saying all this stuff in the countdown, saying I'm gonna break him. I think he's breakable. He's trash. He's done nothing. I'm when you're saying all that shit, I feel like he's saying that to make himself believe it or something like that, or to make him hype himself up more. He knew how he felt when he was in there with him. He could not hold him down. Leon was better in the clinch, better with the elbows. He was holding him against the cage. He was already about to finish him with a head kick in the first round. He was already bleeding on the side of his head. He was. And that was 3 years ago. So I
agree with both of you, man. I think Bilal is the smarter fighter. I know Leon's getting better and better. But Bilal's a good fighter too. They're very even with each other.
But for me to say he's the better, smarter fighter, it's Leon's on a 13 fight win streak, and
Leon just has really good counter off, and that's it. He waits. Bilal's gonna be right there with jabs. He's not gonna do enough to get head kicked. You know what I mean? Bilal plays very defensive too.
For sure.
It's not going to be a head kick knockout, but it's not going to be that super overwhelming. I just think I think Bilal's going to do the right things in this fight to win it. Like Leon doesn't go out of his way to do anything, and Bilal is, and that might just give him round after round. And now Leon's down 2-1, 3-1 possibly, so
right. It's like, no, like, and like, I can see what you mean, like, by saying that. It's just like, for me, like, I think Leon's been bred for this at this point. He's going to come in this with extreme confidence. I do think he will be aggressive, knowing the history they have in the first fight. He's not going to let this dude just come out here round by round, take his belt. He's really cerebral in the cage, really smart. Like I said, he knew Usman well enough to the point where he was the first ever. Usman had a 100% takedown defense after a 17-fight win streak, and he took him down and he knocked him out. So it's like, I think, like, with Leon, like, and like, he was always like a good fighter. He just never like had the personality to really put himself out there like that. You feel me? And I definitely agree with Vulcan. It can be a close fight, man. I just think that Leon has better takedown defense than Wonderboy, better takedown defense than Luke. Like, he finished Brady, but Brady has like no striking, and like, even with Gilbert Burns, like, he couldn't finish Gilbert Burns, only had one arm. So I think a dude that has like the striking that Leon does, like the boxing that
Leon finishing at the end, and Leon's not even finishing healthy.
I mean, Usman, yeah. I mean, he finished Usman. You feel me? And I get,
but that's like a spark knockout, bro. He was down 4 rounds, bro.
But I mean, but like, that shows you that like he's still dangerous. I think that Bilal has no danger in the 5th round. If that's Bilal versus Usman, Bilal has no danger in the 5th round. That shows that he's still dangerous.
So, yeah, I'll give you that. Leon has the knockout chance.
He's dangerous the whole time. And like, Leon has an 8-second knockout over Seth Bajimski. You feel me? Like, he has one of the fastest knockouts in welterweight history.
He has a start of the fight and an end of the fight knockout. Like yes, they're still knockouts. We're not taking them away, but they're a round one, not like the Masvidal Askren. That's like, it's not lucky because he planned it, but it's still like, yeah, you didn't even fight the fight, and at the end of the one, you fought the whole fight, and then you just got caught the last second. Like, no one's taking it away, but it's like, he didn't finish Diaz, he didn't finish Cerrone. Like, he's not finishing these fights, man. He didn't finish Colby. It's impressive, but at the same time, that it's missing something to be the 3rd pound for pound in the world. Right. Is that right?
But I feel like, but him being like, because it's the win streak, it's how he's looking. He's so polished in the fight. It's not
Bilal's on a win streak too, though. I mean,
man. But it's the competition, man. Like, it's like, for Bilal.
How much more competition has Leon? He fought Usman twice, one of which we agree that he was dominated for majority of the fight,
and he knocked him out. Like,
and then a shell of Covington. I mean, because
Bilal
fought Gilbert Burns. Bilal fought Sean Brady. Sean Brady's a good fighter.
I mean, Gilbert Burns was injured, and like, Sean Brady, like, personally, I mean, Sean Brady, like, I feel like the verdict's still out on him. You feel me? Like, he got finished on the feet by Bilal Muhammad, who, I mean, like, who had he finished?
Vicente Luque in 2022.
I mean, like, Bilal Muhammad hadn't had a finish in the UFC before finishing Sean Brady. And I feel like that really showed, like, that point alone, that Brady really had like zero striking. Brady was saying all this for the fight. Like, I can win a belt. That's his
whole highlight.
Like I can win a belt, right? Because people gotta realize like how crazy of a win that it was. Like, he finished one of the greatest of all time. He literally finished one of the greatest fighters of all time. You feel me?
I don't know
like
who this guy is.
Like, in the 5th round. I mean, like, people, is he like Gunnar Nelson, Donald Cerrone, and like, Brian, it is what it is. But when he got, I mean, first off, it was good wins at the time. It was good wins at the time, though. Like, it was good wins at the time, because you feel me, that was before COVID and stuff like that.
Fights, though.
Who's Bilal finishing?
That's not the point. But if it's going to decision, it's like, it's not fair to just be like, oh, Leon's going to win this one because he fought. If it's going, it's the same thing as Sean Strickland and Dricus du Plessis. If it's going to decision, you're leaving it to the judges. So if Bilal landed 2 more strikes every round there than you, or he landed a harder punch that left a black eye every round and you didn't, you're giving Bilal the fight for free. He can't finish the fight. Leon's hands aren't even that hard. It's his kicks.
I mean, he's never done that much damage, like, into anyone's face where Bilal can, like, steal a fight or around like that. And one thing we got to realize coming out of the Leon fights, he's winning these rounds. Like, he beat Colby 4-1. Like, damn, people had Colby they were picking Colby in that fight. They were picking Colby in that fight. But it's like, man, like, That's just people just disrespect Leon, man. They don't think
It's
he's
not
good. Like
disrespecting. We thought we
they
were gonna
just
get the
don't think
same
he's
Colby
that good, man.
We
Like
thought
the
we were gonna
same
get the same
dude.
Colby from years
Like
ago, and we didn't. Like
it's like the same dude. Like Colby's getting dropped by Usman and stuff like that. Like another subpar striker, to the point where like Leon knocks this man out in elevation with everything against all odds. And like if you can persevere through the adversity, I don't know if Bilal's doing that. I don't know if he can get a comeback victory and knock out one of the greatest fighters of all time. He has no danger. There's no danger in this fight for Leon. I'm not saying he has to go out there and finish the fight. That's what everybody wants. But if say Leon's doing that, but like it's a war where he gets dropped and stuff like that, people gonna be like Leon has holes in this game. They cannot say he has holes in his game. He can't. He took down Usman multiple times, took down Colby. He did that to prove a point, to show I can take down both of these dudes. I don't want people to walk out there saying, "Oh, like Leon's wrestling, Leon's wrestling, Leon's wrestling." Like, what do you mean? Like, I do not think Bilal takes down Usman at all, even right now. You feel me? And I think that. And just his personality, if he was talking shit, if he was aggressive on the mic, if he was letting dudes know. But then like what? Like he'd go out there and win a decision, and now people say, oh, like he talks a big game. And nah, man, he just shows up, wins the fights, gets the bag, and goes home. You feel me? It's worked 13 times in a row. You feel me? I mean, like, you know, I'm being Lyman Good and shit like that. You feel me? Shout out to Lyman Good. He's going through like, you know, some family stuff. Like, shout out to him. Great person, 100%. Like condolence, like, you know, like shout out to Lyman Good for sure. And like, yeah, man, like in terms of this fight, I just think this is the fight where Leon's gonna gain the respect. You feel me? And like, and I think like we're just gonna see how it goes. We can talk all day. You feel me?
Yeah.
But
we're wrapping up on 2 hours now, so let's.
I mean, no, it's all good, man. I enjoyed every minute of it. And again, like it's a close fight. I can come up with a point. You can say one as well. We try to see how it goes. You feel me? Like I said, I know, like, you know, friends of mine picking Bilal as well. So people are seeing stuff over there, and you feel me? I just think, like, you know, Leon, like, it's really just going to show his level in this fight. And I mean, like, and like, we're going to see what happens. Or like Bilal could steal the belt, you know, if Leon just forgets how to stuff takedowns, and because I don't think he's going to get outstruck. And yeah, that's what would be crazy. If he comes out here with a good ass jab and starts like, you know, really throwing him off, and then the takedowns here and there, then yeah, for sure. But I just think like Leon's really, really good with the hands, bro. He has great takedown defense. You feel me? He's a great grappler. Period. He was scrambling with Colby and like getting his back and like just like I think he's really good, bro. So and we're gonna see what happens, bro. Well, yeah, that's a good card for sure. We're gonna see what happens at 304. You feel me? Join us again for UFC 305 breakdown. I want to appreciate y'all for joining us. I want to thank you to Vulcan for giving his input on the fight. You know, he's picking Bilal too, while Better is also picking Leon. You feel me? So that lets you know, even on the way out, you feel me? We got people, you know, on both sides. You feel me? And we're gonna see what happens, man. It's either Bilal's gonna, you know, prove the haters wrong, or Leon's finally going to gain the respect. I do think that is the narrative of this fight. It's either Bilal finally proves the haters wrong, or Leon gains the respect, and there's no two ways about it. And I think that's what's going to happen. You feel me? For both fighters, if you know whoever wins, you feel me? So again, I want to thank you to Better MMA, Vulcan for joining us, Paul, most definitely, USA Ghost. You know, like shout out to all you boys. And this was episode 26 of MMAHOLICS. So join us again for episode 27. Obviously, next week we have the the Corey Sanhagen versus Umar Nurmagomedov card. So we're definitely gonna try to find a day where we can get that done. And that's it, guys. Thank y'all so much for joining us. And you got anything else, Nikki, or you're good?
That's it, man. We'll be back. Maybe surprise video next week. We'll let you guys know. We'll be on stream. Follow us on Twitter, MMAHOLICS, and we'll catch you.
Most definitely. See you, boys, always, and girls.